right, we have some wintry weather intrigue to discuss this evening on Weather for Weather Geeks. It is Tuesday evening, the 24th day of January 2023, and we're this deep into winter and really haven't had many kind of impactful winter weather events outside of a few days right around Christmas time. So let's start this evening with kind of a broad overview of what to expect, and then we'll kind of drill down to the details. Even though the biggest impacts will certainly be Wednesday morning, we're going to be dealing with perhaps some slick surfaces at times right through the end of the week and the very start of the weekend. So we think the snow arrives later tonight between 3 and 5 a.m., a couple of hours, few hours before daybreak on our Wednesday. And once it starts snowing, it's going to stick pretty quickly and start accumulating pretty quickly. And so we can expect slick roads for the rush hour Wednesday morning. Now I expect there probably will be a fair amount of school adjustments, but a lot of people don't have a choice. They're going to have to go to work. They're going to have to go to a doctor's appointment, things like that. And if you've got to be out on the roads, just plan on things being pretty tricky for a handful of hours. During the daylight hours on our Wednesday, we think the snow starts tapering off and giving way to mixed precipitation by 10 or 11 o'clock on average from south to north. That mixed precipitation then gives way to afternoon just rain showers. It'll be a lot better outside, especially for travelers, in the afternoon and evening on Wednesday, with temperatures making their way towards 40 and some rain showers around. But then we'll see a change back to flurries for late Wednesday night into Thursday, and there'll be a couple of little weather disturbances that pivot through and might cause an uptick in the snow shower activity, particularly through late afternoon into the evening on Thursday, and perhaps even into the overnight, Thursday night into Friday morning. And even though amounts will be pretty modest with that, could be enough to make things slick once again. Here's a look at our storm system. As of 7:20 Eastern Time on this Tuesday evening, we've had severe weather, in fact tornadoes, today in southeastern Texas around the Houston metro area. Still a tornado watch out for parts of Louisiana this evening, including around New Orleans. Now the storm track, all important as far as snowfall amounts and impacts around our region. This is taking a track that will not put us in the sweet spot for the heaviest amounts of snow, because it's tracking so far to the west that it's going to drag up that mild air and change us over to rain showers tomorrow afternoon. If the storm track was more like this, that would keep us north of the low and keep us in the cold air locked in, and probably make for a pretty big snowfall total for us. But that's going to be more this time around towards Detroit, Toledo, Indianapolis, the I-70 corridor, Indianapolis to St. Louis, all under winter storm warnings, while in eastern Ohio and western PA we are under winter weather advisories due to the more modest amounts of snow. Now, whether you see 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 4 inches of snow, whatever it's going to be, it's all going to be impactful tomorrow morning, because it's coming at a bad time of the day and it's all going to stick. And so we're talking about maybe snow starting as early as 3 or 4 a.m., but at first it's probably very light and may even have a hard time reaching the ground. This may be virga at first because of the dry, low levels of the atmosphere, but eventually snow is going to start reaching the ground and sticking and accumulating. Most of us will be seeing snow sticking by 5 or 6 at the latest, and by the time the sun comes up at about 7:30 or so, it is going to be snowing. Now, the raindrops are not going to be far to our south. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if a raindrop tried to mix in pretty early in the day, not far from the Ohio River, East Liverpool area, but especially down to the south towards Steubenville and Wheeling and Pittsburgh. In the meantime, for most of us, this is just snow for several hours tomorrow morning. Now, we have one outlier model, the NAM, that we're going to kind of ignore for now. Most of our model consensus, as you can see, are right in through here. Here's 1.5 inches, here's 3. We're kind of somewhere in between as far as the model consensus go. Now, could this overachieve? Could it really thump for 3 or 4 straight hours? If you get 3 or 4 straight hours of 1 inch per hour snowfall rates, might you see more than 4? Yeah, that's possible. But the most likely outcome is for a lot of us to see rates of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch per hour for a few hours, and that'll give us a quick 2 or 3, perhaps 4 inches. The NAM advertising 5 or 6 is probably pretty unrealistic for our television viewing area. And again, this is going to come down at a pretty good clip. We'll see rates, maybe especially right around 7, 8, 9 o'clock. We'll see rates of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, maybe even close to 1 inch per hour. And so it's going to come down hot and heavy. Now, the rates will start decreasing rapidly towards midday as the snow starts giving way to sleet, perhaps a brief period of freezing rain, and then we're expecting no additional snow accumulation once we get past noon into the afternoon and evening, because it'll be rain. It'll be way too warm for any snow. Our snowfall forecast has not changed one bit since we put it out first yesterday. A few hours to our east, we're talking about maybe 5 or 6 inches over towards State College. couple of hours to our west, closer to Mansfield, west of I-71, Toledo, Lima, Dayton, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, places like that, they're probably going to see somewhere on the order of 5, 6, 7 inches. I think if you can watch us on TV, aside from watching streams on the internet, if you can catch us on cable or satellite, you're going to see probably somewhere between 2 and 4 as we go through the morning on our Wednesday. So again, the snow lasts a handful of hours, but already by 10:30 or 11, it's probably starting to give way to mixed precipitation. You never want to underestimate the speed of a warm nose in these situations. It a lot of times is faster than the models show. That warming aloft at 4,000 or 5,000 feet above our heads oftentimes outraces what the models think is going to happen. So oftentimes we see a transition from snow to mixed precipitation faster than some of the modeling would indicate. And so even the model here suggests that we're seeing something other than snow as early as 10:30, which leads me to believe in places like East Liverpool and Lisbon and East Palestine, you might even start hearing some sleet pellets as early as 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. But everyone should switch over to raindrops as we go into the afternoon. Even over in Mercer and Lawrence counties, which will be the last places to see the transition, you're going to go to plain rain, a chilly, crummy rain for a lot of the afternoon into the evening. Then we'll see a transition back over to snowflakes overnight. I'm not expecting much in the way of impacts from this action, but there'll be some flakes flying at times. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, that dashed black line you see on the weather map, that's an upper level disturbance that will pivot through, and I think this will probably cause an uptick in the snow shower activity later in the day Thursday into Thursday night, first thing Friday morning. This may be enough to give us some small additional accumulations, maybe even an inch or two, and make things a little bit slick for our morning commute on Friday. Flurries will then fade away Friday afternoon, but then here comes the next one. This next front probably arrives Friday night and probably gives us a chance for another small accumulation of snow to kick off the weekend. So you'll see that in kind of our travel summary here. Be on the lookout by Friday evening and into the overnight for possible slick travel. Until then, the big trouble spot tomorrow morning. Improvement in the afternoon. Evening's fine. Use some caution Thursday into Thursday nights with those snow showers around, even into Friday morning as well. All right, once we get done with the snow chances for the next few days, I think there'll be more opportunities for some snow next week. And this is a pretty cold looking pattern, especially compared to where we've been this winter. It's not exceptionally cold by midwinter standards, but this winter, of course, aside from Christmas time, it hasn't been that cold very often. And this is a pretty impressive cold shot shown by the modeling at the end of next week, the final couple of days of January and heading into February. I'm expecting temperatures to be pretty far below the average. We might have a few days where it really struggles to get out of the 20s, maybe even colder than that, for a couple days in early February. But that doesn't mean all of February will be like that. In fact, I'm expecting a pretty big thaw, maybe right around the 10th into that second week of February. But the month is going to start out pretty cold, it looks like. All right, so we're going to have more updates this evening on 21 News at 11. You can catch the forecast, hourly forecasts, the daily forecast that we manually type in. It's not automated junk that you're going to see on a lot of weather apps. You can go pull up the interactive radar tomorrow morning and track everything that's going on across the area. This is going to be a quick hitter. We'll get through it. Just use some caution tomorrow morning. And we are your source, of course, for the latest weather information. Thanks, as always, for watching Weather for Weather Geeks.